Hello everyone. I welcome all of you to the free OpManager training session. Before we proceed with the training, I wanted to all of you to make sure you can hear me and see the presentation as well. Please confirm by commenting an S in the webinar chat panel on the right. Once we receive few confirmations, we shall proceed further. Thank you for the confirmations. Now let's begin with the presentation for today. Let me introduce about myself. I'm Sharath, Technical Support Engineer, associated with OpManager for a couple of years now. As I've got some knowledge on the OpManager, I'm going to share that absolutely to you for the next 1 hour, and I hope it's going to add value for you for today. As all you know, this training is about a 5-part series, and we've already covered up with discovery and classification the last week, and we saw how to discover the devices and classify them into the respective device templates. Today, it's all about server performance monitoring. What are the important performance metrics we are going to monitor on the servers is what we would talk about today. And the next week, 25th of July, we'll discuss about network performance monitoring. And 1st of August, we have effective fault management and IT automation. We'll there talk about the fault management we have got, how the alarms are generated, and how that can be notified, and all other details about your fault management on 1st of August. And at 8th of August, we'll discuss about network maps, reports, and the best practices we've got in OpManager. And this is all about the 5-part training series. This is a recorded webinar session, and you can find the recorded version in the link given below, opmanager.com/training.html. And if any of your colleagues have missed to join by today, you can just share that with them, and then you can make use of that. Before we dive deep into that server performance monitoring, I will discuss about the agenda for today's presentation. First is about monitoring the device availability, as this is a preliminary check we would do for each and every device to know whether the device is up or down. We would be able to discuss about how the device availability is being monitored in OpManager. And we'll talk about monitoring the server's performance, monitoring the virtual server's performance and its metrics. And we'll also discuss about creating a custom WMI based protocol based monitors. If there are, as we've got few WMI monitors, and we also have an option to create a custom one, and we'll discuss about how do we do that. And script monitoring, and we'll also have a value added point at the last about the troubleshooting tips, which would help you to overcome if you have got any challenges in monitoring the server's performance metrics. First, let me discuss about the important protocols which we use to have the device being monitored. So for device availability monitoring, we use ICMP ping or the TCP port check as a protocol to know the status of the device, its availability or the response time and the packet loss. All these would be monitored with help of this protocol, and we also have them color coded or severity as attention, trouble, and critical. So this is how OpManager's device availability is being monitored. And the interface monitoring happens with the help of SNMP protocol, where we would let you know about the up or down status of the interface, and you can see the respective severity there on the right. And for service monitors, we use the TCP protocol to have the TCP port check to show the service is up or down. And on Windows machines, for the Windows NT services, we use the WMI protocol to show the service up or down status. And for process monitors, we use multiple protocols based on the device on which the process runs on. For Windows machines, we use WMI protocol, and for others, we have SNMP, and for your Linux or Unix machines, we have SSH or Telnet protocols, which can be used to have your process monitored in OpManager to know the status whether the process is up or down. Also, we have files and folder monitors, which can be done with the help of WMI protocol. So before I proceed with the next protocol, I just wanted to make sure whether you can all hear me without any breakage. Is that the voice is clear? Please confirm on the chat panel to proceed further. Thank you for your confirmation. So the next is about the URL monitoring, where for HTTP and HTTPS protocol is being used for your URL monitors to know about the availability and the response time. Next is about monitoring the availability of the particular server. So as you can see here, this is how the OpManager's availability dial would look like. So where you would be able to have the availability dial, the packet loss and the response time dials like this for each and every individual devices. For availability for each and every device in OpManager, we use ICMP predominantly by default, and if the device seems to be on a demilitarized zone where ICMP ping is disabled, we also have an option as a TCP port check to know the availability of the device. Let me jump back to the product and show you how the availability monitoring is happening. So this is the inventory where you can just see all the devices which has been brought into OpManager. Let me get into any of the device and show you the availability right here on the top right of each and every device. So on the top you would be able to find the availability timeline for which is of 24 hours. For each individual day you would be able to know the status of the device. So here is what I said: availability, packet loss and response time dials would be available, and by default the monitoring via is set to ICMP as discussed. If it seems to be on a demilitarized zone and if you want that to be changed to TCP port check, you can click on options, edit device details, and you can change the monitored via ICMP to TCP and provide the required port number, and you can save them. So from then on this particular device would change as TCP port check availability from now on. So the next is about configuring the thresholds for packet loss and response time. Packet loss and response time is also one of the important metric which we would be monitoring when we talk about the availability, as if there are so much of packet loss due to congestion in the network or the response time is huge, then obviously there seems to be problem on the network. To identify that, you also have an option to configure the thresholds which would help you to understand exactly how it is. So on the above of the packet loss dial you have a threshold configuration icon. Just click on that and here is where you can just set your thresholds for that particular monitor. So for the packet loss you can set, say for example, I want if it's greater than 40% of packet loss happens, you want that to be noted to you as an low priority. And if it's above 50%, it has to be noted as trouble. And if it's above 80% of the packet loss happens on that particular machine, you just want them to be notified as critical. So by this way, you can set a threshold and OpManager would alert you based on this particular threshold. The rearm criteria is nothing but when do you want that particular alarm to be cleared automatically. Say I have set an low priority as attention as 40% of packet loss, and if I know that if the packet loss seems to be 35% or even 5% or lesser than 5%, you can just allow them and you can have that particular alarm be cleared. So you can just have this particular rearm being set right here. The same way for the response time, which is noted in milliseconds, you can just have them edited and set your thresholds accordingly. So this is per device. For this particular device which we are looking into, you can just have your thresholds being set right above the dial. In case if you want the same set of thresholds to be set for multiple devices, you can just have them done with the help of configuration, quick configuration wizard and threshold settings. Where you've got the availability monitors, you can just have the response time or the packet loss being selected and set the threshold. Say for example, I set for the packet loss right here, and when I move on to the next, I have got the list of devices where you can just select multiple devices and move on to the right and save them to have this particular packet loss threshold set for all these devices at once. Moving on to the next part is about configuring the uplink dependency. The uplink dependency is something which is really interesting, where this would help you to have your alarms being organized. Say, for example, in your environment, there is a switch, a 32 port switch. Let's take as an example as 32 port switch. And there are 32 other devices, say routers, printers, and all the other devices have been connected to that particular switch. In that particular case, if the switch becomes down, and OpManager would be able to alert you all about the 33 alarms, as all these devices have been monitored in OpManager. So if the device is down, the switch is down, obviously we would not be able to ping the other devices which is connected from the switch, and obviously OpManager would give you the down alerts in that particular case. So you would be able to have so much of alarms, say 33 alarms, which would be a little bit of annoying. So to scrutinize that or to organize that in a regular way, we have this option called uplink dependency, where you can have the uplink dependent device as switch set to all the 32 devices. So at that particular point, if the switch is down, the rest of the 32 devices would not generate an alarm, and that would just mark as parent devices unavailable, the dependent unavailable. So then from there you can understand it even better. It's just because the switch is down, so then this particular device is not being pulled from OpManager. Let me jump to the product and show you where this can be configured. On this device, you would be able to have this uplink dependency set by default as none, where you can just select options, edit device details, and set your uplink dependency of this particular device to a switch or a router. Let's say I've got a router from where this is being connected to. I set my parent device for this particular device as cisco-router.itom.com. So when I save this, my uplink dependence or my parent device for this particular device becomes my Cisco router. So by this way, whenever the Cisco device is down, you would be having only the Cisco device down alarm, and you would not have them notified right here. The next is about polling interval. Polling interval is really means about the monitoring interval of that particular device. So how often we do monitor that device based on the availability or the other metrics is what we term as polling interval. You can have the polling interval available right here at the device description. You can also have an option to change the polling interval. Under the polling interval, monitoring interval, you have multiple availabilities of polling intervals. You can just select them, whether you want to have them monitored for every 10 minutes, or you can just even have your custom time period set, and you can make use of them. This is as for particular device, and if you want to change this for multiple devices at once based on the category, you can just get into settings, configuration, monitoring intervals, and here is the default monitoring interval for each and every infrastructure view. Say for servers, we have got for 5 minutes. For routers, we have got other 5 minutes. So in case if you want to have this monitoring interval changed, you can just save them, and so then it would be reflecting to all the servers which has been monitored in OpManager. Moving on to the next part is about the availability statistics. As you can see here, you might be feeling a little confused about the different colors which has been given on the statistics of the availability. So we have each color denoted in a different form. Let me explain you about that. So as you all know, the green would normally say as up, and red says down. If the device goes down, OpManager would be able to have them color coded in these particular colors. So whenever the device seems to be down, it goes in red. So if there are something which shows as in gray color like this, it just means that it's on the on maintenance, where it has been set for a downtime already. It's a planned downtime which you create in OpManager. So then at that particular time, OpManager would not disturb the device by polling it and creating unwanted alarms. So you can create a downtime, and if that device becomes on the downtime period, it shows as on maintenance. And the pink color which says on hold is about when an admin manually makes this device unmanaged for a short reason, maybe like a maintenance or changing the disk or something. So then you can make that particular device unmanaged for a short period manually, and then it becomes on hold. Okay, I've got just a few participants letting us know that there seems to be a lag in the voice and the display. Just can you please confirm us once again, is that the video and the audio seems to be on the sync? Can we just have one more confirmation? I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. Just let's have one more confirmation so that we can proceed on further. Thank you that I've got a few confirmations from your end. It seems to be fine on sync. So now we'll continue from there. So on hold is where we were talking about. So on hold is about where administrator is manually making the device down for a certain period to make any changes. So then you can make that device on hold from the monitoring. So OpManager would not disturb the device, where that would show in pink color. The next is about dependent unavailable, which shows in yellow color, where we just talked about the uplink dependency for setting for a device. So if the parent device is being down, and there OpManager would be able to show it in yellow color, so it's stating that the parent dependent device is unavailable. And the blue one shows in as not monitored. When that particular device seems to be not monitored in OpManager, we show them in blue. So also you have an outage history in detail, which would let you know about the devices when it goes on the outage state, whether it goes on down or if the parent device is down or if it seems to be manually on hold. All these history you would be able to get the timestamp from and to, and then you would be able to have a reason being marked. Let me just show you that for a better understanding. Clicking on the availability dial takes me to the availability statistics. I can just see the down statistics right here for the couple of time periods. So I can just see my device seems to be up and at times it goes down. So when I just click on history, it gives me about the detailed outage history, and it also tells me about the dependent down history and all the other details. So you can also have multiple time periods set, so it would just let me know what are the time when the device has gone down. So as an administrator, you can have this actions taken, mark them and just set them at the reason. So then any of the other administrators who logged in to have a check on this device, you would be able to have them clearly identified why that particular device is down on this particular time period. Moving on to the next is about monitoring the services. Now we are getting into the service monitoring, where we offer both TCP service monitoring and the Windows service monitoring as well. So where TCP service monitoring is about a particular port check on the TCP port which runs on the machine, and Windows services is the service which runs on the background of any Windows machines. We would be able to have them monitored. Let me get back to the product and show you how this TCP port monitoring and Windows monitoring happens. On the top, after monitors, you have several monitors being listed, where you can have your service monitors clicked, and you would be able to have few service monitors which I've already associated for my product to have a look. And whenever you want to add a new service monitor, click on add monitor, provide the particular service name, the port number on which it runs on, the timeout, and the consecutive times when you want them to be alerted if it goes down, and you can just save them to have this particular one being monitored. So I've got a couple of monitors being listed here, where you can just see the response time when how often this particular this service is being responding back to the OpManager server. Also, you have an option to edit and set a threshold, as we discussed earlier about the threshold, and if it's violating a certain percentage of the milliseconds you provide as a threshold, we would be able to have that alerted. Next, we'll talk about the Windows service monitors. When you have the Windows service monitors, again, I've got a couple of Windows service monitors being associated from this device, and I can just add a couple of other more Windows service monitors by just clicking on add monitor, and this would help me to fetch all the Windows services which runs on this particular machine, as I've already provided the admin WMI credentials. I've got all the Windows services which runs in this machine is being pulled up. So I can just have few other monitors, few other services which runs on this machine to be monitored. Let's say I want device install servers, data usage, and some more. I can just add them, and these monitors would get start added, and then it would start monitoring its status of the particular Windows service. And also you can just have them edited. This particular Windows service monitors have a special option. If it's provided with the admin WMI credentials, you would be able to have this particular service restarted, or you can even restart the service, or you can have no action taken for this particular service if that goes down. Say for example, I've got another service which runs here, say Manage Engine Service Desk Plus, one of the Manage Engine product for the help desk tool. So I want this to be always up on my machine, so that whenever ticket has been logged, I want to have a check on that. If this particular service is down, because this seems to be very critical on my environment, and if this particular service is down, I want this service to be automatically restarted with the help of the WMI credential I've already given. So I can just click on restart the service and save. So whenever this is down, OpManager would be trying to restart the service automatically on the particular machine, or even I can just restart the server. This seems to be quite interesting. When you want the critical Windows services have been monitored, you do not want them to be down. This would absolutely help you at that point. Moving on to the next is about process monitors. We also have the processes being monitored. Any critical process which runs on the machine can also be monitored. This would give a couple of other information as well apart from the availability. So process can be monitored with multiple protocols as WMI, SNMP, SSH, or Telnet to know about the up or down status of the process. Also, you can configure the threshold for critical processes, and also you can create a common process template and associate them to multiple other devices as well. Let me just show you how are the process monitors available here. Getting into the process monitors, I've got few monitors right here. So when I just go to associate monitor, it automatically pulls all the processes which runs in this particular machine. Say I want the system idle process to be monitored at the background, or SVC host, or say for example I want some other few processes to be monitored. I can just have them selected right here, and then I would be able to have them added and then start monitoring that particular process. So by monitoring this process, I would be able to get the CPU percentage used by that particular process alone, the total memory percentage which is being used for that particular process, and the memory bytes. How much is the total memory consumed by the process, and the number of instances of the process which runs in this machine. By these information, I would be able to exactly scrutinize why the problem lies in, where say for example if the device seems to be, or if the server seems to be down, or say slow or crashed often, we would be able to catch the exact process which takes up so much of the memory, which eats up so much of CPU. So then you would be able to identify that particular process, and you can just have them process being killed, or you can just have actions taken accordingly. The same way you can edit the process, and you can set the threshold value for the CPU, memory, and the instance counts. If the particular set value is being violated, then you would be able to have them alerted, so then you can just take actions accordingly. Also, OpManager have provide you options to kill the process right from here. So for memory utilization dial is available right here. When you just click on process, you would be able to have the top process which eats the memory right here. The total amount of the memory used is 39%. So you would be able to have the split up of top 10 processes of this 39%. And if you see that there are some process which is unwanted, you can just directly kill that from actions. So OpManager would be able to kill the process which runs on the machine to have your memory or the CPU being free. When we talk about the process template, you can just have the process template being created from monitoring. Under process, you can just create your new process template from a particular device, selecting the protocol, and all the process from that particular machine would be listed up right here, and then you can just add them as a template. So if this particular process runs on most of your servers on your environment, this would be the absolute choice, where you can just select that particular process and create them as a template. Let me save this, and then you would be able to have that particular process added as a template. From here, you can just click on associate, select that particular process which we have added, and then move all the required devices to the right. So then you can just associate this particular process to most of the devices from your environment. Moving on to the next important part is about monitoring the server's performance. What are the important performance metrics OpManager gives you, and what are the most commonly used servers performance metrics is what we're going to talk right now. First is about the hard disk usage. So most commonly we wanted to monitor the disk utilized by the particular server to know how much of the space is available, or the free disk space, or how much used disk space, or the total amount of the utilization of the disk, and so on. You would be able to have them monitored in OpManager. Moving on to next is about the CPU usage. The total percentage of the CPU utilized by that particular server, or the top processes which CPU uses, can also be monitored. And the next important metric is about the memory. So the total memory used, or the pages per second, about the falls, reads, writes, and the top processes. All these important metrics can also be monitored on each and every individual server you add in OpManager. Let me jump back to the product, show you some of the performance monitors we have got. Getting into the performance monitor, based on the protocol and the vendor, we have closely have more than 400 to 500 performance monitors available, and you can just have them associated to any of the devices as per your choice and the request. I've got so many other monitors. I've got other couple of monitors as well. So you have all these type of performance monitors available, and you can just have them added for multiple devices. So you've got multiple choices to add performance monitors to devices. You can just get into any of the device, and based on the device category, you would be able to have predefined performance monitors being added. Say CPU, disk, memory, and all these are some of the preset performance monitors which gets added automatically, and it would start pulling and it would start giving you the results. Say I want some of the other monitors to be added for this particular device. Say I wanted to know about the exact partition details of my C drive or D drive, or the total space used and the free space in megabits or gigabits. I can just even add those performance monitors by clicking on performance monitors, and you would have all the performance monitors being listed down here, where you can just have these ones added for this particular device alone. Say I want free disk space in GB, and something else like used disk space in GB, or my partition details of the device, which let me know about the total usage in each partition of my device. You can just have them added, and you would be able to have them monitored right from then on. So you have free disk space in F drive is closely about 0%. For E drive, you've got 143%. 143 GB is free, that particular drive. So you would be able to have them in detail of each and every performance monitors for a device. These things can also be added globally for a template. Say I've got a device template, say Windows 10. I've got closely about 7 devices on my Windows 10 category. So you can just have Windows 10 open and add monitors right even from here, and then all these monitors would start listing here, and you can just associate these global monitors to all the 10 devices at one shot, and this would be helpful to save much of your time. So we have got all these type of performance metrics. What's next? The next is absolutely about your reports. So whenever you have all these data being monitored on your servers from OpManager, you want them really as reports to have them submitted to your management, or to have a look in the later point. So we have got predefined set of reports, closely about more than 200 type of reports are available in OpManager by default, where you can make use of. Say I've got health and performance. I've got health reports, which would let me know about the server's health. Let me just take a server's health report, and here I've got a report which gives me complete information about my CPU, memory, packet loss, disk response, and the availability. I've got for last 24 hours of time period for all my servers. The top 10 ones would be listed down here on my health report. You can even edit the report, change the time period to as per your choice. You want them to be for yesterday, and then you can just take a report for yesterday, and you can just have them saved to have that particular details only for yesterday. Also, you have got an option to schedule this report. You can just click on schedule report, and you can provide the email addresses and schedule the name for this particular report, and you can just schedule them weekly, daily, or monthly, and you can just send as a PDF to the respective people you wanted to have this to be sent across. Also, you can just download that right away as a PDF or an Excel sheet right here. Also, I wanted to especially talk about an out-of-box report which we have got, say disk forecast by usage. This particular report is really an out-of-box one which would help you to understand how the disk is being utilized. This would be literally helpful for you when you have a capacity planning on your disk. So this is a forecast of the disk which reads the pattern of the disk usage from OpManager and give you a detailed instruction. Say from this particular device on the partition, say C drive, the current usage is about 86%. So we let you know about the 80, 90 and 100%, and we forecast when that particular percentage would reach. So 86 right now, so already 80 has been reached. So if this pattern goes on, you would have this C drive of the device would be reached about 90% on 20th of July, and it would reach 100% on 24th of July at this particular time. So from this particular report, you would be able to understand when you would be able to have the 100% disk being utilized. So then you can just take actions accordingly. If it seems to be over allocated or under allocated, you can just have the space allocated from this report. This is a really interesting one which would be helping you to have a forecast on your disks. Moving on to the next is about virtual environment. So far we have seen about the physical servers and type of the monitors we have got for all the servers. Now let's discuss about the virtual environment. For virtual environments, a vCenter or ESX host, we have got some performance metrics like CPU ready time, wait time, memory balloon, network disk and data store monitors even. There are so many other monitors also available for your vCenter. Let me just get back and show you what are the virtual monitors we've got. So the VI web service is all related to your VMware related monitoring. We've got so many other monitors listed right down here. You can just make use of this. When we just get into any of the vCenter, you would be able to have multiple monitors being available. Let me just show you. I've got a couple of vCenters and hosts. Let me get into one of the vCenter, and here is how the vCenter looks like. It would give me all the details about my virtual details, process, monitors and all the details. So from here you would be able to have those monitors added. As all you know, the performance metrics which you monitor on a virtual environment, you would also require to monitor the hardware metrics of a virtual device. Say hardware metrics like sensors, power, temperature, voltage can also be monitored in OpManager for Dell and HP vendors, provided you have the VMware API protocol to have that supported in OpManager. So we would be able to have your sensors, power and temperature being monitored, and this is something which is really critical to have that monitored on your environment. So if the temperature goes really very high, there can be a chance of fire, so which needs to be monitored automatically and then give you an alert accordingly. So there OpManager play an important role to have this monitored. To have the hardware monitored enabled, you can just get into settings, system settings and hardware monitor. You can just enable them, save that, so then you would be able to have this particular hardware's metrics being monitored for all your machines. The next is about VMware events. So each and every event happens on your virtual environment, like inventory changes of vMotion. Say one VM is being migrated from one host or vCenter to another, or host connections, or if any of the VM has powered on or off. Any of these events happen on a virtual environment can also be captured, and it would also help you to alert you from OpManager. Let me get back to the virtual environment and show you VMware events. By default, we've got closely about 25 VMware events which would be associated to all your vCenter or virtual devices by whenever it gets discovered. And if you want any of the other VMware events to be added, you have an option to add. You can just fetch that from the vCenter, and you can just have closely about another 500 VMware events listed down here from this vCenter. You can just have them selected and start adding them to have an exclusive monitoring of your events which happens on your vCenter. Once the new VMware events has been added, you can just associate them to multiple devices and you can just make use of the VMware events. Next is about the virtual reports. Again, the reports is also important when we talk about the virtual performance metrics, the hardware metrics or the events. So we've got multiple reports to let you know about identifying the underutilized or over-provisioned resources. Or we also, apart from the reports, we also have a VM sprawl dashboard, which helps you to have a clear capacity planning on your virtual environment. And also we provide you the virtual maps, which helps you to have a clear picture on the connections between your virtual environment. Let me jump back and show you all these at once. When getting into the reports, we have got a separate exclusive tab for virtual servers report. We have got multiple reports, but this one gives you about the data store and the VM mapping. So you would be able to know the data store and the VMs which has been connected to the data store. And the same way we've got other ones like data store versus VMware's host mapping. By this way, you've got few reports. You also have an option to create your own virtual report. You can just provide your own virtual report. I'm just creating one, and you can just have the vendor and the type where you wanted to get this report. Either you want that from the host or from each and every virtual machines, and you can just select the respective monitor you want to be having as a report. You can just select that particular metric and you can just create them. So this would give you the balloon memory of all my virtual machines from my virtual environment. So you can just have this report being selected and you can make use of them to schedule or send them to any of your management as well. So next we will talk about the VM sprawl dashboard. When we talk about the dashboard, this is a place we have got an exclusive virtual dashboard. This would give you a clear summary of what's happening on your virtual environment in a small place where you have a clear picture on it. The same way, we have got a VM sprawl dashboard which gives me the capacity planning idea. So it gives me some of the widgets, say the top VMs by memory which is over allocated. So it gives me what is the device which has been over allocated by memory and gives me a memory recommendation as well. So currently this particular device uses 8 GB of RAM, but it's really not so required, so you can just make them to 6. This is what the recommendation which we give out. The same way, what are the top 10 idle VMs which is idle for a long time, also which is under allocated, the top VMs which the CPU is under allocated or it's been over allocated. By this way, you would be able to have a clear picture what your virtual environment is being utilized with its memory and CPU. So then you can just allocate the respective memory or the RAM or the Java memory accordingly to have them in a better performance state. Next, we'll talk about the virtual maps. Whenever you add a vCenter and the respective hosts and the virtual machines would get automatically discovered and you would be able to have a clear map drawn from the vCenter connection. So I've got my virtual map being displayed right here from the VM network. I've got multiple connections being gone through where you would be able to know from where the virtual machine is being connected to, from the vCenter, what are the next immediate machine is being connected to. All these details can be viewed in a graphical view as a virtual map. Also, you have got an option to check it in a different way, and you have the connections can be drawn as per your request. You want them to be noded with the host to the data store connection, or the VM to the data store connection can also be drawn, and you would be able to have the drawn map accordingly. The data store between the vCenter connection can also be established right here for your better understanding of your virtual environment. So we have spoke about how the virtual environment works on the performance metrics, hardware, and the other related metrics. Next, we'll move on and talk about the application monitors performance. So we have got support for Microsoft SQL servers, Microsoft Exchange servers, and Active Directory servers. For each and every type of application, we've got closely about 40 to 50 type of monitors available for each and every ones. Say for Microsoft SQL, you would be able to have the SQL services being monitored, the average block wait time, or the current size of the database which is being utilized. All these can also be monitored on your SQL. When we talk about MS Exchange, we have got Exchange services. The active users count can also be monitored. The same way for Active Directory, we've got some other monitors like LDAP bind time, LDAP searches, LDAP authentications, Kerberos authentication, or NTLM. All these can also be monitored on Active Directory. Here I've just displayed few for your display. I'll just get back right here into the application monitors and show you what are the type of the application monitors we've got. As you get into the application monitors, we've got separate tabs for each and every application. For MS SQL Exchange based on the Exchange versions, and for the Active Directory as we have spoke. So here you can see there are so much of MS SQL monitors, which we've got closely about 53 monitors we've got. You can just have these added to all your MS SQL servers to have them predominantly monitored. Here, the polling interval, the monitoring interval for each and every monitor, and the threshold value provided here is something which we directly have it here as per the best practices provided by Microsoft. I really understand that this might change based on your environment, so you can just click on that and change them as per your environment. You can just have them edited, and you can just save this configuration for future. So once you click on save configuration, this particular threshold changes would be applied for any future MS SQL servers you add. And if you wanted to have them added to the current ones, you can just have apply configuration, and you can just select the current MS SQL servers available, and this would be changed. This threshold values can be changed to the current available MS SQL servers. The same way you've got Exchange versions, different type of Exchange servers. We've got multiple monitors, and for Active Directory, we also have other monitors. You can just have them here. The same way you can just have them added to your Active Directory and then have them exclusively monitored with all these monitors help. So moving on to the next is about creating the custom WMI monitors. So far we have seen what are the type of monitors we have got for different types of devices or servers. Now let's talk about WMI monitors. So for a Windows machine, predominantly we suggest to monitor that with the help of the WMI protocol. So each and every monitor, say CPU, memory, or any disk, those can be monitored with the help of the WMI monitors. If you've got anything in particular to monitor, which we really do not have, you have that option to create your own custom WMI monitor, provided you have got to know the Windows server's IP address and the credentials with the admin privilege and the WMI class on which you have to query that particular one, and you can just have that particular monitor added. Once you have these two information, you can just have them added, and you can create a custom dial even for your WMI monitor. Let me get back to a device template where this is a global part where you can change that. See, on Windows 10 machine, I've got few WMI monitors already been provided. Say I've got my partition details, disk, and memory. So I want something else which has to be monitored on my Windows devices, say my process time. So I just wanted to get into this Windows template and click on the WMI, and you would be able to have an option to provide the device name where you wanted to fetch that particular WMI class. I can just go ahead and select a device, provide the credentials, and provide the monitoring interval for that particular monitor which I'm going to create now. And from here, you would be able to have all the WMI classes available on this machine can be listed down right here. So you can just find all the WMI classes. As you already know from which class you want this particular monitor to be generated or created, you can just search for that particular one, processor, or any other exclusive class which you wanted to have them. You can just have them created, and you can start monitoring them right from now on. So any percentage idle time which you wanted to know about the processor which seems to be on an idle time, you can just have this monitored, or a DPC rate or interrupts per second. You can just have these type of unique WMI monitors can be created on your own once you know this particular WMI class, and you can just select the instances on which you want this to be, and you can just save them right away. Once this has been saved, you would be able to have this added in the global template. As you can see, the processor's time, interrupt time which you've added, and other few things like say idle time, all these can be added, and this can be associated to multiple Windows 10 devices at once right from here. This is all you have created is a custom WMI monitor. Now you want them to be added as a dial in the device snapshot page. You can just have this being enabled. This is nothing but the show dial, which would help you to have a dial picture, as you saw already about the availability dial. That way you would have a graphical picture of this particular interrupt total time, or any other WMI monitor you add, you would be able to have them shown as a dial, and you can just save them as a template. This way you can create your own WMI monitors and make use of any monitor which you want to have that predominantly monitored on a particular server. Moving on to the next is about script monitoring. Script monitoring, personally, it's something which is really so interesting. If you wanted to have your own script written to monitor any of the specific performance monitor you want, which cannot be find in a standard SNMP or a WMI monitor, you can have your own script written and have them monitor. OpManager helps you to have any script language that runs on cell or a prompt is being supported, say VB script, PowerShell, Perl, or a shell script, or even the Python script can also be supported in OpManager, which you can have your own script written and have them monitored. Also, I wanted to give you an additional information where you can just even export and import the existing script templates from another Manage Engine OpManager's installation. Say you've got multiple OpManager installations, say probe and central connection. You can have your script template exported from one probe, one setup, and you can just have them imported on other ones as well. So here is a community where you would be able to have multiple script templates available right here in this link given, where most of the customers and the technical experts would discuss right here about the script templates and provide multiple script templates right here where you can make use of them. It's absolutely free. You can just have a look. Let me even show you how the community looks like. So here are some of the scripts which we have discussed, posted by customers, posted by our technical experts. So now let me give you an example about how the script monitor is and what's the importance of the script monitor is. So we have seen about CPU, memory, disk utilization, which can be even fetched with the help of the WMI or SNMP protocol. But there are something else which cannot be achieved by this. As said, this has to be written through a script and this has to be monitored. So when I get into monitors, I can just have my script monitors being displayed right here. There are a few preset script monitors added. Now, let me give you an example of why I just really wanted to go for a script monitor. Let's say I want to monitor the certificate's expiration. Let's say I've got an SSL certificate on a machine being installed. I wanted to monitor the expiration date of that particular certificate. For that, we would now be able to get a specific metric to have that monitored through performance. So where we have a script being written for that, and you can just have them. I already have that particular script being loaded into OpManager. I just will show you how this works. Just you wanted to add the monitor, and you just have to associate a monitor. I've got already predefined monitors which I've got added already, where I've got this script being written, and I've just imported that. I have SSL certificate expiry reminder script. It's a VB script to get the remaining number of days for my website SSL certificate. I just associate that right here to this particular device, and this can be added. And when you edit this, you would be able to understand how the script looks like. So I just wanted to provide a name of the script, description, the time, and here is my command line. It's a VB script. I just wanted to have a command line. I'm just checking a particular site and this particular site's certificate, and how is that script's certificate, when it's going to be expired, is what I've got a script body being written right here. So this way you can write your own script and provide that particular one, and then you can just test the script and check whether the script works perfectly, and then you would be able to have them seen. So here days to expire is about 314. So there are 314 days, 314 days available to have this particular site's SSL certificate to be expired. So by this way, you would be able to have this script monitor used so active, and this can be achieved in any way. Where if you have a good knowledge on script writing, you would be able to have them written, and you can just monitor anything with the help of your script based monitoring. Moving on to the next is about monitoring the website URL. We also have an importance to monitor the URLs which you commonly use or which is very important or critical on your environment. OpManager helps you to monitor the availability of both the intranet and the internet web applications. Also, you can configure thresholds for your URL response time. The response time can also be monitored on a URL, but that seems to be one of the critical metric for URL monitoring to know how the URL has been responding back to the server, how long it takes to respond. If it takes too much of time, then you may be understanding that there seems to be a congestion and you've got to work on that. For that particular reason, we have got the response time, and you can even configure a threshold to get them alerted if it violates. And also you can have your own string provided, and OpManager would be able to have that content matched, and if that particular content is being matched on the URL, you would be able to have them alerted, or if that particular content is not available, then you would have them alerted in OpManager. Also, we provide an option to have the URL monitors behind proxy. You can also set your proxy servers, and if the URLs are supposed to be monitored behind your proxy servers, we also provide that, and you can just OpManager would be able to pass that proxy and then monitor that particular URL. Let me get back to the URL monitoring and let me show you how this URL monitoring can be added. So here for this particular device, I've got a couple of URL monitors being added. Let me show you on the global part how you add a URL monitoring. So for any monitors which we are talking about, you have an option to add them globally right from monitoring all these, or you can even add them individually on your device as well from the monitors tab. Now let's talk about the URLs. When you just click on add new URL, you can provide the name for the URL. Provide a name and the address, the URL address on which you have that to be monitored, providing the monitor intervals. And here is my match content. You can search and find whether this particular string provided here is available on the particular URL or not. Say I wanted to have this monitored for my string called network. If network is available on this particular manageengine.com, I want that to be notified. If in case you want any of the authorization to be provided for that particular URL to be reached, you have to make sure you provide the authorization. As in this case, I do not have any of the username and password. You can even have these things set, and you can have them added globally. You can have them, and then you will be able to have this particular URL being monitored. There are so many interesting cases where the URL monitor becomes very important. Say for example, there are some login screens of day-to-day life. Every day when we get into the office, we might need to log into a particular portal to have checked into the office. And if that particular URL goes down, there becomes so much of mess and chaos, where that is very important on the beginning of every day. So you can even have that particular URL being monitored in OpManager, and if it's down or if the response time seems to be down, you would have them alerted immediately. When we talk about the response time, you would be able to find the response time in milliseconds. So this particular site takes 262 milliseconds to respond, and the availability of this can be 96.23 as of now. So you can just edit this particular monitor, and you would be able to have set all these things. Say if you can want to have this associated with a particular device, you can just have them associated to a particular device and have them used. Let me get back to one of the server which this has been associated, and I'll show you how this is. From monitors, so far we have seen how to have that globally created for individual devices. You can have them right here, and you can just edit them, and you would be able to have the same things available right here as we discussed. By this way, you would be able to have them monitored for each and every devices. And when we talk about the proxy server details, you have an option to create your own proxy server settings. You can just enable the proxy, provide the proxy server's name, password, username, and the port number. And once it has been provided, OpManager would pass through this particular proxy and check for the URL's availability and let you know about that as well. Moving on to the next is about files and folder monitoring. For Windows servers, with the help of the WMI protocol, we absolutely monitor the files and folders and the availability of the files and folders. Also, you will be able to monitor the size of the folder, and you can set the threshold on the same, and if any of the files and folders exceeds a particular size, you can also get notified on the same. We also have a search based on the filter using an extension of the particular file. If you wanted to have only the PDF files inside a folder to be monitored, that can be extensively used with the help of the filters as well. Also, you have an option to set the threshold for your file size, age, or even the count of the files. The number of the files inside the particular folder can also be monitored, and you can set a threshold and it will be alerted if that particular value exceeds the threshold one. Also, it helps you to have an automatic check on the files and folders and triggers an alert when any changes occur. Any modification happens on that particular one, you would be able to have them alerted. So this is all some quite interesting things. You would be able to do that in the files and folders. Let me get to one and show you how you would be able to have them added. Getting into monitor, files, you can just have a new file monitor being added. You can provide the name of a template, the path of the particular file, the time, and you would be able to have the existence of the file, whether you have the file in the particular path, or if you do not have, do you want them to be monitored, and the size of the file. You can also, as said, you can just provide the size for the threshold. If it exceeds more than 10 GB or 10 MB, you want them to be notified. You can just have them set. And the same way, you have the age of the file, how long that particular file is set on that particular path. If it's more than for 2 days of time, you want them to be notified, you can just have them set. And if any of the modification happens on the file, say for example, if that seems to be a critical file, say SSH key file or any of the certificates important password file, if that seems to be changed or modified, immediately you want them to be notified. This can also be done if you have this alert. If modified, you would be able to have them notified to your from OpManager. So now I'll discuss in deep about the file contains. This is something which is quite interesting, where most of the administrators from MS SQL or the ones who take care of the logs analysis, which would this be quite interesting. So we have a log file agent where you would have to download this particular agent and have them installed on the particular machine on where you have this log files being, which has to be monitored. So let's say, for example, I've got an MS SQL log which has to be monitored, and you have to monitor a particular string called exception. So as you know that if there is a word or a string called exception in the particular path, in this particular file you give, you want them to be notified or alerted. So from here, you would be able to understand there seems to be a problem, so that this particular string would be monitored with the help of the agent on the particular path on the file, and you would be able to have them clearly noted and give you an alarm. This way, you can just download an agent. Just click on this to get this agent downloaded, and you can have them installed on the machine. The same way for folders, you can have your own folder monitor created, providing a template name, the path of the folder, and you can just provide whether you want to have the subfolders to be monitored or only the main folder, the root folder, to be monitored. The same way, you have got all the options, say existence of the folder, the size of the folder, the modification if it happens, and the file name contains. This is where we were talking about the filter. You want all the files of this particular folder to be monitored, or you want only the text file or the PDF file or any XML file to be monitored, can also be provided. The size and the count of the total number of files inside this particular folder can also be monitored. So you can have these things being added into the template and have them associated to multiple devices at once. Maybe I can just get back to one device, show you how this details of files and folder monitors would look like. From here, you can have even the files and folder monitors being added from right on the top. So as you can see, I've got one of the file which is being monitored under documents, training.pdf. This is a particular file which I like to monitor, and you would be able to know the size of the file, the age of the file, how long this particular file has been there in this particular path, and whether this file is existence on this particular path. It's on the different one right now. This would be able to have you a clear picture on file monitors. When we talk about the folder monitors, as we discussed, you would be able to have the complete path of the folder given, and you would be able to know the size of the folder, the number of the file counts inside this particular folder, and about the folder existence or not. But this way, you would have an extensive usage of files and folder monitors, and you would be able to have a threshold set for each and every metric which we discussed about, and you would be able to have them alerted if that particular threshold is being violated. This is all about files and folder monitors. The next is about an important troubleshooting tip which we will discuss right now about WMI monitoring not collecting the data. As we saw, there are so much of WMI protocol based monitors. We have got CPU, memory, disk and so on. If those monitors does not give you any data, say for example, let me just get back to one of the performance monitors and show you one. So I've got here some of the SNMP based monitors. Likewise, if I've got some WMI based monitors, and if there is no value comes in here, if the data is not being collected, what could be the reason? As a user of OpManager, you would be able to have this, or an admin, server admin, you would be able to have this troubleshooted at the first step and just check for the error message. Is that gives you an access denied or RPC server is unavailable is what the error message comes in. These are the two possible errors which might come in. And what are the possible reasons for this failure? Might be there might be a wrong password or a credential which is not associated with this device, because OpManager talks to that particular device with the help of the password. And if the WMI account used in the OpManager might not have a limited privilege, if it's not seems to be an admin user, this might not be possible. So, or if any of the WMI ports being blocked by the firewall, that can also be a choice where the data would not come from the device. So what can we do for troubleshooting? We have an exclusive tool called WBM test in every individual Windows servers. You can just get into the Windows instrumentation tester and you can just provide the device name, credentials and test them with the help of the WMI class. Let me just take you to the WBM test tool. So this is how your Windows Management Instrumentation Tester tool looks like. This is by default would be available in all the Microsoft Windows machines. So you just have to click on connect, provide the IP address of the machine where the problem lies in, where the device seems to be not working. Provide that in this particular method, say the IP address, root sim v2, provide the username and the password. Provide the password. Which this credentials has to be the same which you've been using in OpManager, the same WMI credentials, and just connect to them. You would be able to have them successfully connected. If it doesn't connect, if it says access is denied or RPC server is unavailable, then we have got to work on that, check with the server admin why this seems to be a problem, and then we have got to fix on this end. Also, you have got an option to query this. You can just have a WMI query. Say I'm just querying it for the CPU. Select star from Win32 processor, and just I've got some results for the processor, and I can just see the load percentage which is being used. So the total load percentage used for my CPU right now is 8. So by this way, you would be able to understand the or identify the exact reason whether there is a problem with the OpManager application, or is that the problem with your server. If this works on your server from OpManager's installation server, then we would be able to have a look on this further. If this WBM test doesn't work on this particular machine, then we have to check why that doesn't work with the help of your server admin. So this particular help document would help you to troubleshoot if the RPC server unavailable comes up as an error message. So we have completed now for today's session about the server performance monitoring, and I would like to let you know that if you have any questions, or if you wanted to have a look about all these webinars, or you have to have a quick video about the 2-minute video about how to's, you have it here in youtube.com/OpManagerTech videos. Subscribe to them and then get notified for your new video has been uploaded. Help.opmanager.com is a knowledge base article where you would be able to have all the details right there with the step-by-step instruction with screenshots. And forums.manageengine.com/opmanager is a community, a technical community where most of our technical experts and customers meet at one place to discuss about the most top discussions happens right here. And if you are an evaluator and if you've got some questions, you can write us to eval-itom@manageengine.com. And if you're a purchase customer, you can write it to opmanager-support@manageengine.com, where we've got a dedicated support team who would be gladly answering you all your questions. Also, you can dial us at the number below to reach to us, to talk to us, to discuss about the problems or the challenges you've got with OpManager. I am very glad in letting you all know that OpManager is recognized by Gartner for its network performance monitoring and diagnostics magic quadrant for the year 2018, and this seems to be one of very happy news where I can just share it with you all. So also I'm eagerly waiting for all of you to join for the network performance monitoring on 25th of July at the same time. So we'll have a meet to discuss about the network's performance monitoring. As discussed, I've got one of my product expert panelists, Sanjeev, who would be able to discuss about the top interesting questions we have received today, which would really help or benefit the larger audience who have all participated right here. Over to Sanjeev to discuss about the questions.
Hello everybody, this is Sanjeev, product expert and panelist from ManageEngine. So we're just going to shoot out with the list of questions that we have had today. So let's get this reviewed one by one. Is there a way to set the device response time threshold globally for all of my devices? Yes, we do have an option. Let me get you to that page where it could be done. So once when you go here and then go to configuration, we have quick configuration wizard. Under this, we have an option called as threshold settings. So once when you select this, you will have an option called as availability monitors. And now that we see have an option called as response time, just provide the threshold value and then click on next. So once when you provide the threshold value as well as the rearm, you will actually find the list of devices that are available. So just select the devices which you wish to apply this threshold settings and then go forward with the changes. How to monitor the paging file size memory of a server apart from the default memory utilized? Yes, we do have an option where you can actually use the custom WMI monitor to go ahead and then select you with the option. So let me go to any one of the device here where I can actually show you on how that could be done. So let's say if you go to this particular device and then click on monitors, at the top right you will have an option called as custom WMI monitor. So let me go here and then WMI monitor, and then when you go here you will have an option called as paging file memory. So the specific class which you actually wanted to monitor will be selected here, and you will be able to select the current values as well as the instances that are running to that specific WMI class for the paging file memory, and it will be appended here. So you will be able to see those monitors being added, and then the value will get collected over a period of time. Can we see the availability data for more than 24 hours? Yes, we do have an option in reports where you will be able to see all of it. In fact, when you go to any specific devices based on devices availability, you will have an option where you will be able to edit it and then go forward to make the necessary changes. So when you click on edit report, you will be able to select a time frame based on this, and far apart from it, you will also be able to do it from the individual devices as well. Is there a monitoring interval that I can set for all servers on a global node, or rather a monitoring interval to all the servers based on a global node? So when you go to settings and then go to the notifications, go to configuration, you will have an option called as monitoring intervals. So let's just say if I wish to change the monitoring interval for all of these servers, just specify the monitoring interval and then select the option called as enable. So once when you click on save, this will be automatically updated to all of the servers itself on a global basis. So that is what was the question all about. And the next question is, will I be able to monitor my cloud IaaS based URLs? So any URL which will have an HTTP GET response from the OpManager server will be able to go forward and show you the availability as well as the graphs based on the URL that you're trying to monitor. So it is all about the URL response from the OpManager server, which will pick the relevant data for the URL monitors. Is there a PowerShell script readily available for monitoring my certificates, or rather my expired certificates? So yes, we do have a forum community, and for this question, yes, we do have an option where you will have an XML file that you can actually import it to the application. So this is the website link where you will be able to see the list of the script templates which is readily available. So when you even go here to settings and then monitoring and then script templates, you will have an option to add or import the specific template. So this will be a place where you will be importing your XML file and then go about in doing the required addition. What is the difference between on maintenance and on hold? So on maintenance would be where a scheduled maintenance would be devised for your devices. So it will be based on the scheduling that has already been automated, and on hold is something where you actually set a downtime to the device manually. So this is done manually, and on maintenance is where you actually schedule or set a time frame based on your convenience. What are the different options to get the alerts notified through SMS? So right now we have quite different options to go about in sending the email notifications as well as your SMSs. So for your SMSs, let's say for example, if I go here and then click on next, it will have an option to first pre-configure your SMS server settings, and this is where you actually find the option where we have three different modes of sending the messages. So one is the app SMS, which is the readily available Android app, where you will have to just download the file and then get it to the app. So you'll be receiving all those notifications through the app SMS install. And then for your SMS gateway, it is all driven through the API. So it could be for any specific vendor. It could be either your Clickatel or any third-party vendor that you're using. So here you will have to input the specific API key, which will be referred by the vendor on the API key documentation, and then you will have to specify the request headers and other parameters to go about in doing this configuration. And for your SMPP is more like an layer 7 TCP/IP protocol, which is another way of delivering your messages through the SMS model. So these are the different type of SMS settings that we have currently. Do we have an option to automatically restart a Windows service once when it is down? Yes, we do have an option here. So let's take an example of any one server. So when you go here and then go to monitors and then Windows service monitors, you will actually find the list of Windows service monitors readily available. So you will have an option called as restart this service. By this way, this specific service will get restarted automatically once when the service goes down for some reason. Can I use both SNMP and WMI for my server monitoring? Which one is the most preferred? Well, we had most of the questions on a generic note from our support perspective, and it is basically left up to the choice of the administrator to preferably see if a SNMP agent has to be installed or if he's okay to go with the WMI credentials. So primarily for SNMP, it's going to be an agent that will be installed on all of your server machines, and then you will have a community string to pass through. And for WMI, it's about your domain credentials that would be specified. So both the model can be approved, excepting that you will have to go with any one of the choices based on your specifications or recommendation. So these are the specific set of questions that we have had over the server performance monitoring today. We hope that the session was more informative, excepting that we had few issues related to the voice lag or any improper message that that has been carried forwarded. So we look forward to have you more on this training series that we are conducting every week. And once again, we'll probably see to rectify on what were the negatives during this, voice lag. Thanks once again, guys, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. As discussed, we are really very sorry about the audio lags which you've experienced today, and I will just let you know that we are just gonna check that from now on. And I just wanted to announce officially that this particular webinar has been over. Thank you so much.